Hey, editing me here. So, when I first scripted this episode, it was pretty bare bones to say the least. However, once I began doing the editing process, I thought that I would go back and I do some deeper digging, and I found a bunch of stuff that I had initially missed during my first go through, and a couple of articles that had been published after I had recorded this. So I apologize in advance if some of the stuff in this episode doesn't flow as well as it did in previous episodes. I will try to do my best to make everything as cohesive as possible.
You know we ended up in the bed.
Did he have to take a number or was the line moving briskly?
No. Tell it, please, Ormandy. Go.
Thank you, Eva. Honey, he dropped his pants and he whipped it out all proud. And I said, oh no, where's the rest of it?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just One Hit, the podcast where I, your host, talks about one-hit wonders of yesteryear. And today we are talking about a doozy. So there's always been this long-running debate about penis size, whether bigger is better, cut or uncut. Is it about the motion of the ocean? How big is too big?
I'll do the best I can with what I got. Oh!
No shorties are welcome in the house of Gillette with her 1994 hit aptly titled Short Dick Man.
Don't want no short man. Don't want no short man.
Now, I chose this one because I, like a lot of people nowadays, was aimlessly scrolling on TikTok and I came across the now viral video of Gillette performing the song on the Brazilian children's television show. I believe it's pronounced Zuza. Hopefully that's how you pronounce it. Because there are X's in these words. I'm not sure how X's are pronounced in Portuguese, or I think they speak Portuguese in Brazil. If I'm wrong, please someone correct me. Mind you, I had already seen this video when it circulated on Facebook a few years ago, which made me do a preliminary Google Wikipedia search. And I was taken aback how this actually peaked in the top 10 of a lot of countries and top 20 here in the US. Now, I'm not a prude or anything, but for such a brazenly titled and performed song, you would think it would be relegated to nichdom. I've never really heard anybody discuss the song really in depth. Like, I've never heard it on any oldie stations who spin it on like a Friday night dance mix, nor have I ever heard anybody recall like real fond memories of the song. I feel like it's more or lesser known for its bizarre performance video and not for like the actual hit power that it had. So today, let's take a deeper look at this fun phallic shaming hit. This is Short Dick Man by 20 Fingers and Gillette. The song bills Gillette as the feature artist, with the lead act being a group called 20 Fingers, which is consisted of 4 producers and DJs. Carlos Rosario, Manfred Moore, JJ Flores, and Onforio Lolino. Initially a duo with just Rosario and Moore, they called themselves 20 Fingers because they had 20 fingers between the both of them. In an interview with thehypemagazine.com, Manny Moore cites a number of artists including Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind & Fire, Ohio Players, Michael Jackson, Parliament, and the Isley Brothers as some of his musical inspirations. It seems like Manny is the only one who is keeping the 20 Fingers name alive at this point, but I will get to that later on. In that same interview, Manny explains that 20 Fingers was formed after he was brought into work with JJ Flores and Carlos Rosario. He initially connected with Rosario and worked with Flores on songs for the Chicago-based group Maximilian, who had a number of minor hits here in the United States, including a cover of Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing, which did better in Oceania. So Sandra Navarro Gillette, better known as Gillette, was born September 16, 1974 in New Jersey. She is of Mexican and Puerto Rican descent, and she grew up in Illinois, settling in the suburb of Romeoville, where she graduated high school in 1992. It says she grew up in Chicago and Houston, but I'm not too sure if the Houston part came from her childhood or when she was a young adult. It says that she attended the University of Houston a bit, studying drama before the success of Short Dick Man. Short Dick Man was written and produced by Carlos Rosario under the name Charlie Baby, with additional writing credits by Manny Moore. Their reason for writing the song was to subvert the expectations of the average radio listener. In an interview with the Los Angeles Times, Moore says that there were all these songs bashing women and treating them like sex objects, so they decided to turn the tables and get some attention in other ways, talking about men in particular. In that interview with the Hype magazine, Manny Moore expounds about the conception of Short Dick Man. Charlie had a track and he needed a hook, so my concept was to create something for the women. Charlie also loved this idea, and we were trying different things. I wanted to find something that a woman could say that would shake men up, and it did. I came up with Don't Want No Short Dick, and I wrote all the jokes and crazy stuff. Chandra Gillette, I believe, was a receptionist or something. JJ actually knew her first. We brought her in and we gave her $100 to demo the song. Gillette was not a singer at all, but man, did she have this amazing personality, and we laughed through the entire session. We created the song thinking it'd be a cool club song for women. The duo shopped the song around to some singers, landing on Gillette eventually, who was working as a medical receptionist during this time. Initially, Gillette was hesitant to sing the song due to its unexpectedly vulgar lyrics, but eventually she relented.
But with an acting degree behind her, Gillette sort of evolved into the role.
They came up with the concept that it would be a good idea to kind of turn things around, and instead of all these men constantly degrading women and putting down women, they thought it would be a good idea to put down men. I don't know what made them think, let's get Gillette, she'd be perfect for that. But they did, and I'm really grateful.
In that same LA Times interview, Gillette says the song was to strike back at all the women bashing songs in pop with specific emphasis on the rap genre. She's quoted saying, "Some guys think nothing of putting down women, and I think that's disgusting. I'm a feminist, and I want to defend women. Maybe after hearing this, some of the men will think twice before they bash women." Women really love this record. And love this record they did. The song got some initial traction in the Chicago club circuit, and at the urging of a programmer at the Chicago radio station WBBFM B96, a clean version of the song was commissioned and hit the #1 spot on the station.
Gillette's debut album, On the Attack, is a worldwide success, and everyone involved has been taken by surprise. Gillette admits she didn't even confide in her mother that she had cut a song, let alone an entire album that degraded men and male genitalia, until her album hit #1 on B96.
I'm actually really glad they took this advice, because I don't think it would have gone past the club scene without a clean version to help carry it on to mainstream radio. And I put clean version with hard air quotes because even the most sexually conservative person would hear this and they would clutch their chest extremely dramatically.
What in the world is that thing? You need some tweezers to put that little thing away? That has got to be the smallest I have ever seen in my whole life. Get the out of here.
The song definitely would have fizzled out at that point due to lack of any long-term promotion plans by the collective's record label SOS Records, but was luckily picked up by Hollywood-based Zoo Entertainment, a subsidiary of BMG whose most notable act was the rock band Tool. Now, as a man myself, you would think just by principle I wouldn't like Short Dick Man, well, because I am a man, but that's far from the truth. I mean, not, of course, the man part, because yes, I am a man. It's me not liking the song. Do I love the song? Not necessarily, but I do understand why the song was such a hit. And that is Gillette herself. Her delivery on this is very cliche 90s mean girl in a rom-com, but it has that bite, and that bite is hard. It stings, it latches on, it draws blood, and if you let it, it will take a chunk out of you. If you even have a fleeting thought about your manhood being less than spectacular, I suggest you stay far, far away from this song. I don't know if that's like the Chicago in her, but when she says,
Has got to be the smallest dick I have ever seen in my whole life. Get the fuck out of here.
like, I feel that, and I would take that personally if I was a different type of person. The song is quite affected, and if I were the said short dick man in question, I would not want to leave the house. Now, when it comes to the production, it's alright. It's thumping, it's bumping. I think it was actually really clever using those cuts of Gillette laughing. It really emphasized the message of the song, but there are a few elements that are a bit on the really awkward side. There's some noises that get introduced early into the song, and I'm not sure of what it is. I can only describe it as like a stalling steam engine. It goes that that one. I don't know what it is, but it's just, it kind of grates on me, and I'm not a fan of grating music. I just cannot do grating music. And then there's the other part, like towards the middle-ish, towards the end of the song. It's I think it's Gillette's vocals, and she's like going It reminds me of that one Mad TV skit where it's like this old woman, I think she's played by Mo Collins, and she's making this weird kind of similar sound. I'll like insert a clip of it here so y'all can know what I'm talking about.
Don't want no short man. Don't want no short man.
And it just takes me back to that, and every time I hear it, I'm just like, ooh, it kind of makes me shudder a little bit. But if I did frequent clubs back during that time, I could see myself doing a little shoulder shimmy to this, because I can't dance to save my life, if we're being quite honest. Critics were actually quite positive to this song overall too, with most complimenting the beat and the song's sense of humor, with Wendy C. Mark from the Network 40 writing, "A throbbing bass line that's not bogged down by overproduction complements the eloquent and slightly politically incorrect vocals." In a retrospective Best Pop Singles of 1994 list for Idolator, Robbie Dahl writes, "In many ways, the song played at the time like the female response to hits by male artists that objectified women, such as Rex and Effect's Rum Shaker, which in itself is another one-hit wonder, and the buying masses grabbed on tightly. Short Dick Man received gold certifications in Australia, Germany, and the US, and a silver certification in France, and reached the top 10 in 12 countries, hitting number 1 in France and Italy. It reached the top 20 in 4 additional countries, including the US, where it peaked at number 14. While Gillette's follow-up single, Mr. Personality, underperformed in comparison to Short Dick Man, stalling outside the top 40 here in America, 20 Fingers was able to get one more hit under their belt in European countries with the appropriately titled Lick It featuring singer Rolla. And can you guess what that one was about?
You gotta lick it before we kick it. You gotta get it soft and wet so we can kick it. You gotta lick it before we kick it. You gotta get it soft and wet so we can kick it.
Is that a vagina behind him? And yes. Why, yes, it is.
Yeah, I would just say, because this, I feel like I've already said the the word dick so many times, but that song is about eating the box. I will just say that. It's about eating the box. And I just want to have a quick side note here. I love how each musical generation is just like, oh, back in my day, we didn't have all this vulgarity and nastiness in our songs. We left it to the imagination. We were classy about it. We were chaste. And then when you go back and you listen to certain songs from from like each era, there's always so many songs that are so explicitly sexual.
I got nipples on my titties, big as the end of my thumb. I got something between my legs that'll make a dead man come.
A pearl necklace. She want a pearl necklace. She want a pearl necklace.
Open up your twisties and open up your thighs. Picture yourself a flicker as your hand moves down your thigh.
And it's just so very funny. Each of our eras, we've always been talking sexually in it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be quite honest. After releasing one more single from On the Attack and More, 20 Fingers released a self-titled album with a number of different guest vocalists. Aside from the single Sex Machine charting in a few countries, none of the other songs made any impact. They focused on producing and remixing for other artists for a bit before the group went radio silent until about 2019. Mandy Moore reunited with Charlie Rosario and the group's old manager to begin their comeback, which was planned for some time around 2020. But those plans had to be on hold because of a certain global event. Once that was taken care of in 2022, they recruited singer-dancer Nia Jewel to round out the new 20 Fingers formation. In an interview with French music website La Parisienne Life, Mandy Moore says that 20 Fingers' previous label did bad business with everybody, which I assume means Gillette as well. There were also legal issues with the label, who owned everything related to the 20 Fingers brand. But if I understand the press release announcing Nia Jewel's involvement, Mandy now has the rights to the 20 Fingers brand again. They are now producing again, and they are doing retro-themed concert tours. As for Gillette, she went on to release 2 more albums, 1996's Shake Your Moneymaker and 2000's Did I Say That, but neither had any charting hits. Wikipedia says that Gillette went on to star in some independent films and started a burlesque group in 2004 called the Peekaboo Review, which stayed together for about a year. I couldn't find any information about the film she was in, but thanks to a 20 Fingers and Gillette fan page on Facebook, I was able to find a couple of pictures from her time in the Peekaboo Review. It is believed that Gillette is now retired from the industry and is married with children. Now, this is my personal opinion. I feel like neither party wanted to move on from the formula that got them recognition with Short Dick Man, which was this brash, crash, in-your-face, overtly sexual dance music. And the thing is, it's not like that was the only music that they were making. If you listen to the On the Attack and More album, which I listened to for this episode, the album is more or less a blend of pop, rock, hip-hop, and dance, with Short Dick Man being the outlier, being the only like pure dance song on the album. I wouldn't say it's a hidden gem or anything, but if you can stomach listening to Gillette's rap yelling shtick for about half an hour, it has a lot to offer than what was presented to the general public. I also haven't heard Gillette actually like sing either, so I don't know if that was also probably detrimental to her career as well. I think honestly that she thought she was an extension of the 20 Fingers brand and not like an actual musician, though I could be wrong about that, and maybe she did actually want to, do some singing. 20 Fingers probably would have done a lot better later on down the musical pipeline, probably like in the 2010s during the club boom, specifically like 2011, 2012. If you think of songs like Alexandra Stan's Mr. Saxobeat, Ina's The Sun Is Up, Take Over Control by Afrojack and Ava Simons, I feel like that would have been the sweet spots for like a 20 Fingers revival. We could have, reinvigorated their sound, and I definitely could have seen them doing really, really well in that lane. So thank you for tuning into this episode. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, we do have 2 previous episodes that should be up right now, that being on Into the Night by Benny Mardones and Steal My Sunshine by Len. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye.